Hey guys, my name's Piers, part of the campus project, and this term we're focusing on graduation. Today we're joined by Isabella and we're going to be talking all things university, graduation and life after university as well. So Isabella, tell us a little bit about yourself, what are you studying, what do you do?
Okay, so I'm doing fashion buying and merchandising. I do it at Manchester Met. And yeah, well, this is my final year. And yeah, this is
Great. How long have you been in Manchester?
5 years now. So it's quite a long time.
Yeah, definitely. So fashion buying, why did you decide to choose that as a course to study?
Well, because I wanted to be in the fashion industry, and then I knew I didn't want it to be a designer, but yeah, still I didn't want it to go fully into just business itself. So then I found the fashion buying and merchandising course here in England, and yeah, it was something I didn't saw before, or like it was something it's not back in Colombia. So yeah, that's why I chose it.
So you've been here studying for 5 years. 2 of those years have been a pandemic, coronavirus. How have you found that? How did that change your experience at university?
Yeah, it changed completely.
Yeah.
Because so most of my friends here are international. Okay. So when the pandemic came, a lot of them went back home. So I was here by my own. Just like 2 friends stayed, so at least they were around. But still, like being by my own for so long made me realize so many things that before I didn't have the time to think about. And then yeah, like I think it was like a different experience. I wouldn't say like bad or good, but it's just like different.
So how do you now feel about graduating?
It's weird. It's weird because after studying for so long, it's like, what am I going to do now?
Do you feel prepared for the next stage at all, or how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, so a bit prepared because yeah, my uni has been good. Like all the work that the tutors have done with us in preparing for like getting a job, how to communicate, and all of those things are good. But still, I think I'm gonna miss it, like to be a student. So yeah.
What are the main things about being a student that you think you'll miss?
Well, first of all, having the freedom of like managing my own time, and then like going to classes, although sometimes they are boring. It's like nice to learn what I like what I'm passionate about. So like learning something different from people that I already know, and like meeting people as well, because uni experience is like so nice because you get to meet so many different people in such a short amount of time. So those kind of things as well. So yeah, I think when you're working, you don't get to meet a lot of people that quickly. So
yeah, definitely. I'm graduating as well. It's going to be a complete change. Do you feel like you're preparing yourself at this point for graduating? If so, how?
Yeah, well, like preparing in terms of like, I would say like, yeah, so I try to divide it. Like I'm preparing for graduating in regards of like, okay, which other skills can I add up into my CV? So I'm kind of doing some little courses on the side, like Excel, those kind of things. But then also preparing in terms of, I know I'm not gonna have this when I start working. So like the friends that I'm, like the social part of it that I'm saying, that I told you before, like I've been trying to meet up with more friends and like to engage with more social activities at uni, because I know that those kind of things are not gonna be when I finish. So I don't know if that counts as preparing, but it still is like something that
definitely
I'm putting effort into, because I won't have it anymore after I graduate.
That's great. Awesome. What are some key things you think you've learned from your uni experience?
Well, I learned a lot, of course, like about myself. So like, because yeah, 5 years have been such a long time, and during those 5 years, not like the people that I wanted to be around, they have not been able to be around. So like learning how to manage like being by myself, or like being open to meet other people even though I didn't want to. So yeah, like a lot about myself in terms of socially,
Mm.
and then in terms of like how to achieve good grades in uni, even though sometimes I'm not feeling well, or like getting a placement as well, like because that was a hard thing. That was during pandemic, and I really thought I was not gonna get it, but then like being able to work towards that,
Mhm.
that was like the main goal. Also, show me like how I can do things even though sometimes I think I cannot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And what's other things? So like of course uni work.
Yeah,
So
but
like
actual
a lot of
content.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like fashion, business and management and things like that. But yeah.
Cool. Reflecting on your time, is there anything that you might think you'd change about your experience or how you've done it at all? If not, great, you've smashed it. But
No, well, yeah, well, I think I would change some things, some of my reactions of some situations that I have had with people during this time. But apart from that, no, nothing else.
great.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself if you could speak to yourself as a fresher or as someone that was just starting university?
So definitely being like open-minded, like excited, because this is such a like happy and like such a nice experience to have. So like being open-minded, being excited about it, and then of course always like knowing where you come from and like not like changing your values just to be around people, or just like not to not feel that you're not part of that, not changing yourself. But like it's also important to be open-minded, if like having a balance between those two, it's also very important. And then I think just those two.
So as I said at the beginning, this term at campus we're focusing on graduation, and there'll be a lot of people graduating in the coming months and the following years as well. What advice would you give other people that are graduating from university?
I also need an advice, like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, of course, like having something to aim at, it's so important. So, like having a name and then working towards that. And I don't know.
Yeah, we need advice more than anyone. Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned having a goal, having a direction. What would you say is your goal for the future?
So like in a short-term goal is of course getting a job as a buying admin assistant or merchandiser, but preferably buying. And then that's like the 2 or 3 year goal. And then after that, maybe going back to Colombia and working in the family business, and then maybe also set up my own business regarding like jeans and so. And then that will be like 3 to 5 years. And then after 5 years, I don't know yet, but something within like my own business within jeans.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So you said you were from Colombia, you're an international student here in Manchester. How have you found that experience being an international student?
Yeah, well, it's nice. It's nice because like the city is full of people that are also international, so either from South America or from China, New Zealand, whatever, like around the world. So then you get to meet a lot of different cultures in just one place, but also you get to meet like, of course, the culture from the country, so like the British culture. And then most of the internationals, they are kind of in the same moods as you. Like they want to discover the country, they want to discover the continent, Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So like during the first year, I did really enjoy it a lot that because I got to travel with other people that were like same as me. Mm-hmm. But then the bad thing with international is that everyone also leaves. So my friends from that first year, they left, and that's when I started to had to make new friends. So it was like learning that not everyone stays, and like you're just by your own your whole life. Even though that sounds sad, but it's true. So it's like a good mixture of like meeting nice people and like traveling and getting to know different cultures, and then realizing that you need to be fine by yourself. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, how have you grown to find that experience of change with people and the constant coming and going of friendships and relationships? How have you found that, and how do you feel like you've dealt with that?
Yeah, well, as I said, like at the beginning, it was a bit difficult on my first year when I came back and they were like those friends, they were not here anymore. It was difficult, but then because there is always coming new international people, so then I had to meet others, but then those others weren't the same as the friends from the first year, so I was always comparing it. But then I realized that yeah, that was not good. I just had to make sure that I enjoyed the most and like every minute with that kind of new people, even though yeah, they were not kind of the same. And then it didn't matter if they would live in 3 or 6 or 1 year time. Like for me, the only thing that mattered was as long as we had fun and like we had similar values and things to share, then we could enjoy that little time that we had. And then when they left, in my mind I was just like, well, it's fine, like it's like I'm gonna have another person to visit in either China or Italy or France, you know. So yeah, just like being sure that, or not being sure because you never know that too, but knowing that you will have a friend even though you won't have them next to you, is gonna, you can text them like in 6 months or a year. Or actually like one of my friends from foundation, she's from Thailand and she's now back there, and I texted her like last week after not talking like for a year or so, because I needed something from her, because she's like a fashion designer, so I needed like something from her. But still, it's like knowing that you have that friendship even though it's not next to you. So yeah,
super special. How do you feel like your relationship with God has helped you in that experience?
Yeah, that's another important thing, because like knowing that everyone is leaving and then kind of thinking, oh, I'm by myself, is not like physically, yes, you're by yourself, but I also had to remind myself so many times that I was with God, and like God gave me the Holy Spirit to not feel kind of lonely in a bad sense. So like, of course, for me, it works a lot having a routine with God, like waking up and praying, and then in the nighttime also taking that time helped me a lot. And also understanding, yeah, what I said before, like understanding that people are there for a moment, enjoying that moment, but when they leave, I shouldn't be feeling sad or whatever, because what matters is that God is with me. So yeah, of course, working on that relation, like working in people's relationship, yes, but more working on God's relationship. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good advice. Have you had struggles with following God at university?
Yeah. So of course, like when those times when I was feeling like super sad and lonely that people were leaving, and that I could ask God like, yeah, but why don't you at least leave me one person to be with me? And then like if that didn't happen because I was asking to Him, in my mind I was like, well, maybe it's like He doesn't exist, or I don't care for Him, or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think that what I was focusing, it was like the wrong thing. You know, like asking God just leave one person for me wasn't the right thing to do. It was more like, what do you want me to learn from this situation? When I changed that perspective, that helped me to understand that it's not that God is not there or like listening to me, but rather is me not being tuned, I don't know, with what God wants me to learn from what I'm experiencing at that moment. And yeah, I think that being far from God, for me, it was like a challenging time also, because I wasn't living in the way that I want to live. And it also made me like question a lot of things that I had taken from granted since I was growing up until like uni. But I think that what matters is that understanding, like knowing that is, yeah, it's not like the different perspectives that you have to have when it's in terms of God. Like as I said at the beginning, not asking why don't you listen to what I'm asking you, but rather like what do you want me to show me during this time.
So switching your attitude from like, why you're not doing this, to actually try and open your eyes to what he is doing or what he wants you to be doing in a new situation. That's awesome advice. When you came to Manchester, did you get stuck in with a church straight away, or what's your experience been like with church at university?
So no, when I came to Manchester, I searched some churches. Some were recommended by some friends back from Colombia, and it was nice. But still, I didn't really felt that I should stay in some of the churches that I've been. And then I met a girl from Ecuador, and then she took me to Vine Life, and then I just stayed in Vine Life because it was very similar to what they teach me back home in Colombia. And so it was very similar to what I felt in Colombia, so then I just stayed there.
How do you feel like being part of that community and getting stuck in with the church helped you in your university experience?
Well, to be fair, I haven't really been part of the community. I've been very basic in just going to Sundays. I used to serve a bit, now I don't. But I have really seen the difference of being part of a Christian community and not being part. And that is another advice. I would advise for Christians to, whenever they start the uni journey, to also find a church and being part of the community. So that's another thing.
You're welcome.
That's another advice, and that's another thing I would change from my uni, of being part of the community.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow, that was really cool. That was super helpful. Thank you so much for joining us today, for having this conversation with us. It'd be great if we could spend a little bit of time praying for people graduating this year. Would you be okay to lead us in that?
Yeah, sure. I'll just do it in Spanish, if it's fine.
Absolutely.
Dios, te doy gracias por este momento. Gracias por cada una de las personas que se van a graduar en este año. Gracias porque tú los has puesto en el camino en que los has puesto, para que puedan hacer un cambio en cada una de las empresas o cada uno de los lugares donde ellos vayan a ir. Gracias porque tú has estado con cada uno de ellos en cada momento, porque a pesar de que, como en mi caso, quisimos dudar de ti o pensamos que tú no nos acompañabas o tú no estabas al lado de nosotros, tú haces que nuestros corazones se vuelvan a ti. Oro para que cada una de las personas que se gradúan este año, cada una de sus preocupaciones que tengan, para que esas preocupaciones no sean mayores a lo que tú eres mayor en sus vidas, que ellos te puedan ver a ti más grande que a sus preocupaciones y que puedan ponerlas en tus manos, que puedan confiar que tú estás ahí ayudándolos a salir adelante, a esforzarse. Y Dios, así como dice en tu palabra de esforzarnos y ser valientes, solo para que tú pongas ese deseo en el corazón de cada una de las personas que se gradúan este año. Ayúdanos a ser esforzados y a lograr todas las cosas que tú tienes para la vida de cada uno de nosotros. Danos esa visión que tú tienes sobre cada uno de nosotros y ayúdanos a lograrla. Oro para que traigas paz, visión, esfuerzo a la vida de cada uno de los que nos graduamos este año. En el nombre de Jesús, amén.
Amen.
So when I was praying, this verse came to my mind, Joshua 1:6-9, that it talks about being strong and courageous. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you that.
Perfect. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That's a perfect way to end as well, I think. And thank you again so much for joining us. That's it. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you very soon.